Welcome everyone to our new episode of Insider's View. We have today one of my good friends, MJ, from one of the big four consulting firms. MJ, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. For everybody that knows me in the corporate world is MJ, but my name stands for Marjorie Joasil. So that's just a short corporate name. I didn't even choose it. They just called me MJ. It was just much easier. But bref, actually to talk a little bit about myself is that I studied at HEC Montreal as well as l'UDM in business management, marketing management, and as well as advertising. Loved it. Worked in the field for about 10, 12 years. So within those 10, 12 years, I had time to work in a call center. I had time also to start in 2009 a fashion and lifestyle blog when blogging was not even a thing. Like nobody knew who we were. I was able to live off of it. And it was actually a great, I would say, period in time and industries where people were mostly shopping online, which actually hurt a lot of retail stores. So they had issues generating natural traffic to their stores. So basically my business model was pretty much helping companies to generate traffic to their store with a mix of CRM and experiential marketing. So I did that a lot. Worked in a couple advertising agencies. I was also marketing coordinator for Lacoste. That's one of my greatest experience, where I pretty much did advertising for 12 boutiques, 4 outlets, as well as managing their loyalty program. So that was really fun. So I was pretty much the marketing department in between 555 Madison and France.
Nice.
So just imagine my schedule, like when I would arrive before 12, I had to finish everything and get everything validated. It was crazy. But shout out to all my suppliers at the time. They were my best friends. And, if I had to run corrections and typos and whatnot, they really had my back.
Awesome.
And therefore, after with Lacoste, I actually started also a business. I ran my own practice in consultancy. So I freelanced and also launched a branding and marketing school for creative entrepreneurs. So that lasted a good 2 years where I not only did consultancy inside businesses, but as well did one-on-one private consultation and taught and really loved teaching. When we look at my career, what pretty much connects the dots is one little factor is that I either hired interns or, I either trained them. Like, for example, at Lacoste, I pretty much created the entire internship program.
Yes.
And that was pretty much the part that I love the most. I mean, if you go on my LinkedIn, you'll see a bunch of interns that I've recommended. And right now I'm so proud to see where they are. So definitely school, university is pretty much the place. Whenever I have a chance to go to HEC Montreal, it's just, I love the smell of the school. I just love to be, in that space, in that place, as much as I kept in touch with all my teachers. So it's inevitable that 10 years later, I was kind of a little poofed up about marketing. And it was time for me to question and to rethink a little bit, what is it that I wanted to do for the next 10 years? Right. And little did I know, connecting the dots, again, finding out what I love doing the most, interviewing, screening, shortlisting, hunting for talents. I pretty much ended up now being a talent attraction specialist for a big four audit company. So I'm super, super excited. I dove into this new career like there's nobody's business, and I just love it. And here I am now with Peter for this great interview. So I kind of did a little quick turnaround about my career and whatnot.
and that's one of the reasons why we're talking, right? Is because you and I really focus on young professional development. We're really
Absolutely
proud of that. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity to now share and go into the mind of MJ. And this is going to be a great opportunity for young professionals. So without further ado,
so the pressure's on.
Let's get to the question.
I'm ready. Yes,
there
let's go.
So what I like to do is I like asking everyone, and this is a fun game I've been doing since COVID-19 happened, is if I take away your salary, your savings, your connections, and I bring you back to 25 years old, and I put you into today's world, How does MJ get a job?
Wow.
What are the steps? Go nitty gritty. What did she do? She graduated yesterday. What's the plan?
You're putting me on the spot now. Like, I think I'm going to go really hustler on pretty much how you deal with it. If you take everything away from moi.
Everything that you hold. Because I know the connections.
And that's it. Yes. Okay. So
let me go back. The connections are easy to do without the connections. Let's go.
If I have to think, like, if I had nothing and I had to start everything from scratch, that pretty much brings me to how did I get myself to where I am today. I think one of the first thing is not having any experience, not having any connection. I mean, I'm not going to hide from you. I don't come from a family and a last name that allowed me to get inside companies and be connected. You know, I wasn't born in those kind of family, and God bless anyone that do have families and last names that allows them to, get, the front door or pushed for them and get everything easy. It wasn't the case for me. So I believe in creating your own practice. I believe in freelancing.
Okay.
I believe in that. While you're going to school, I understand that having good grades is really amazing. But then again, if having your own practice is maybe not something possible for you, because not everybody necessarily is interested in entrepreneurship, I would say get involved in associations as much as possible and try to work your way up to a leadership position. Because normally when recruiters, or if you're looking for opportunities, when you're a frontliner, being in a leadership position, that's pretty much where you get lots of opportunities at you, and you get to have also that credibility that allows you to knock at doors and being part of the actual movement. Yes, it's honorable to be part of a helping team, but I would say try as much as possible to push yourself to the leadership committee as much as possible, and to practice decision making, to practice creativity and ideas and problem solving. That you will thank yourself for forever.
So that's for the students probably that are still at school right now. I think that's great.
For the students. Background. Absolutely, that's for the students that have zero, experience, don't know where to start, and do have that feeling that, oh my gosh, when it's going to be my time to find work, for sure they'll say you have no experience. So that's. If you have no experience, but you show that you've been part either to work in a camp or any jobs that you can get where you can have transferable skills, go for it. Don't wait.
Okay, so that's one. So that's what they can, if they have a time. But if they graduated yesterday, what do they do? And they can go to that.
Yeah, if you've graduated, first is stay close to your teachers. Your teachers are definitely great leaders, and especially well connected. I had always a lot of respect for my teachers. Not to say I wasn't a teacher's pet, but I handle school like business. I handle school like work. If let's say I
can you elaborate? Can you elaborate on that? That would be great.
Absolutely. Sorry. I was actually going to do that. Absolutely. It's actually very interesting, but I'll tell you why, because it's all about building relationships. First, for example, with my marketing teacher, I used to tell him and email him when I was sick and not showing up to work, the same way you would do with your boss. I would say, hey, listen, I'm not going to show up to school today. I don't feel well, but I'll be there next week, or I have my notes down. And the teacher really appreciated that, I would actually tell him that I wasn't present. So at least he knew me. He knew I was present, because sometimes you have classes of 80, 50 people and you're just one out of and insignificant. But yet again, it showed respect. Another thing that I used to do, as well, if I was late, I would even tell him. He says, hey, I'll be a few minutes late, as if he was my boss, So it's just like having that relationship actually landed me to have a recommendation letter, because he knew that I was really applied. If I had missed school or missed class or anything like that, he knew that it wasn't because I didn't care about his content. It's mostly because I had business to deal with, aside from school. So I always kind of had that respect and relationship with my teachers. So that's pretty much what, what I did. So yeah, so first be part of an association. If you don't have that opportunity, if you're fresh out of school, try to freelance as much as possible. Also, another thing that you can do is to intern. Not necessarily to look for the big four or a huge internship, but being able to spend 1 or 2 days or 3 days or a month to offer your services for free at a company. Obviously, make sure that you have a tight contract with set goals and as well set tasks that you have to accomplish. Or
that's well done, yeah.
That's it. If in any other cases, it's not possible for you to intern for free, make sure that you at least try to job shadow. I think I would go more with job shadowing instead. That means spending a day with a professional. Some companies can't because of their non-disclosure profits or non-compete, disclosure.
Their IP, intellectual property.
Intellectual property. However, you'll be surprised that perhaps if you go and you start with startups, you'll be surprised that a lot of companies will actually be really willing to let you in for one day and to sit down with a professional to pretty much walk you through their daily jobs. And then that would be your opportunity to not only after your opportunity to even speak and say if there are any position or even position yourself until there's positions open in their career page on their website. So those are the tips that I would definitely say. I have kind of like a hustler type of mentality, so I can actually go on with.
So go and hustle. Go hustle, because
like a bunch of ideas that you can basically do as much as possible. Sometimes it's possible that you may not necessarily get your foot in the door right away, but any jobs, working in retail, working at a day camp, any other types of experiences, and when you have those kind of jobs that are not related to the field that you're planning to work in as a professional, make sure that you pick a position where skills are transferable.
Right. So when you do something, make sure that you have a story to tell after you do it.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Like anything that is clerical, for example, that allowed you to manipulate Excel spreadsheets, that allowed you to maybe, if let's say you're in IT, you're in digital, your STEM students, allowed you to maybe work in a company that is not related, but you solved an IT or a cyber issue, know? So those are definitely things that are definitely highly regarded and highly valued as well. So it doesn't mean necessarily to have direct experience with what you're applying for, but looking for jobs where skills are transferable. And I must attest, and I'm actually a big testimony of transferable skills right here, because never in my life have I ever thought that I would become a recruiter.
100%.
Yeah.
So even for my side, same thing, right? I never thought I'd be working in an HR role or coaching role. I was a finance major and analytics side, and now that's what we're both doing. And that's what we've met and working together. Something that was interesting, I actually read this the other day. Yes, we say that we put Excel on our CVs or resumes, but we don't care that Excel is on your resumes. We really rather know what you did with the Excel sheet.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we need to make sure we tell our students about is, what did you do? How many hours did you save? How much money did you create? How many costs did you save?
Absolutely. I'm actually happy to say that the last resumes that I've actually shortlisted so far, students were actually really bright in telling us exactly what they had done, either with other computer or cloud applications. So I'm like, oh my gosh, they definitely get it. So we're on a good track with that.
So I think that's one of the things that a lot of students I see when we do CV coaching. It's always the first thing is like, hey, where's the value proposition whenever you're writing, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And then you want me to go on to basically continue?
So you had the hustle, right? We did the CV prep. We talked about that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
going into another industry, maybe, as long as it's transferable, tell the story. I think that's great as well.
Absolutely.
But let's get a little like granular. Like, how would you reach out to people? How would you, how would you get that volunteer work even? How would you use LinkedIn? Would you use Indeed? Would you, use the school system? What are we doing? Like,
in terms of it, it's a mix of everything. And I look at it as a marketer, is that in marketing, we have tools, and the tools are pretty much all the marketing tools that we use in order to launch a campaign. What are those tools? Events, social media, like it can be networking. It can be anything down the line with email marketing. It can be even an nitty-gritty newspaper. It can be anything that basically television, like radio, whatnot, is anything that you can use within traditional marketing to new marketing that you can actually use. You can actually look it up online to see what's the difference between the two. And I feel that you can actually work as your own advertising agency. Let me pretty much tell you a little bit of story on how I lay it down. Networking. So basically what I do is that I actually don't just focus on doing one thing to look for a job. That means just go on LinkedIn and that's it. Okay. It's a mix of a lot of stuff. It's a mix of referrals, which is a marketing strategy, where I can go on LinkedIn, check out all my buddies, all my friends, family members, find out where they work, and basically see if I actually like the company that they work for, and if the company they work for stands with the values that I stand for. Yeah. So let me retract. Before even doing that, really jot down all your top values. In today's world, I would say it's not just up to the company to pick you and to choose you, but it's up for you also to shop your job, to shop for the employer that you want to be part with. Yep. So make sure that, for example, my values is love, connection, cleanliness, community. I like to have to make an impact, anything that stands as well with, having a company that believes in inclusion and diversity. So when I basically put all of that, I make sure that if I go on their website, it pretty much reflects my values. So once I've made that step in at least looking inward of who I am, then I'm able to basically present myself in front of the company that I want to choose for. So for example, what you can do is that once you've basically jot down and map out where your friends work and where your family work and whatnot, and where your acquaintance work, you pretty much segment the companies, and you only keep the ones that actually speaks to you. And once you find that out, your next step is to connect with them. So always start with your people, and therefore after you can actually branch out and start networking with people that you don't know. Starting to work out with people that you don't know is very simple. It's to start a little blurb. First of all, people are people, they're human beings. And I'm gonna drop a golden secret here. Recruiters are actually, part of our jobs is to have coffee chats. We're waiting to have coffee chats with you. We're not necessarily going to give you a job, but at least we can talk about our business. We can basically tell you what kind of jobs, what kind of skill sets that we're looking for. And if there's definitely open position, maybe you can actually have an opportunity to have your foot in for an interview. So those are basically things that you have to do. So yes, use LinkedIn, use your friends, use your family. Yes, branch out and send your CV everywhere on LinkedIn, Monsters, Job Boom, and whatnot. I think it's Vista, like that's communication. It's not for the field, but yet you can actually branch out and do that. Once you've done that, participating to actual events to network, speed dating events. Those are things that are very, important, and making sure also that you either touch base, with the organizers and the speakers, to either send them an email acknowledging exactly how you appreciated what they've said and that you'd like to connect and keep in touch. Not necessarily saying, I want a job, but first is to establish a relationship and actually being more interested than interesting. Yeah. Like you want to invest more time in listening to other people and making them more important than your need of finding a job, than your need of launching a career.
I think that's actually great advice, because like a lot of people come in with the agenda. Even when they speak to a recruiter, I see I've heard stories. They're like, here's my CV. And the recruiter's like, I don't know what to do with this. Like,
absolutely.
Like what's going on? But if you go in there trying to understand what is the problem or the pain point of a recruiter or someone who's doing an event or even someone in the business, and you have that mature conversation of going back and you're like, well, hey, I can actually help you with this pain point. This is an idea. Is that interesting? It could be, or it could be not, but that's a better way of getting a job. And I think that's
absolutely
more of a way that we should probably, talk to young professionals about, is developing a relationship. Like even when we met, MJ, right? We didn't just go out to each other and say, here's what I want, and that's what we're doing, right? We're just like, hey, so what are you looking for, MJ? And you were asking, what are we looking for? And we were trying to help each other more than
absolutely
getting what we wanted.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's why we had a good relationship, even though we met earlier this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it all comes down to diversifying actually your strategy in looking for work. And it can also be, as easy as well with networking, within your schoolmates that graduated with you, to find out if they've gotten offers with other companies. Is to basically work out the referral situation. Hey, can you refer me? Because dropping a name of someone that the business already knows helps out a lot. And that's pretty much how I got my job. It's because I was referred from someone, and it didn't take too long for me to get hired.
Well, I was even going to say it reduces cost for the business if you get a referral.
Absolutely.
Right? So
absolutely.
Reverses course, and it also gives us better KPIs because you get time to fill lowers as well. So
absolutely. And sometimes like you can even take a spin as well, like on launching your own website as well, with actually, if you have time and if you have the energy and the talent to actually write in amazing LinkedIn and writing amazing content within the industry that you're actually interested in. And you'll 100%. Be surprised that your journey, and that's pretty much how my career started, with launching a blog. It pretty much landed me a lot of marketing opportunities. Became a marketing director for a fashion line. It's one of my clients that actually hired me afterwards. So I have to say that doing your own practice, writing amazing content, it allows you to also enter communities, online communities, if otherwise you would have not had been able to enter. And becoming not only an advocate, but a leader, within a micro niche topic or subject or industry, I would say that this is basically a great way as well to get your foot in and get a job.
100%, because if no one's doing it, like I think what the stats are, like 1.5% of people on LinkedIn are making content, something that's crazy low.
That's it. So writing content about the industry that you would like to work in not only allows you to become a leader, but also get some attention as well. And as much as you're writing content, you're also pushing other people's content and endorsing as well what they're writing. That's another way to get in touch with a hiring manager or just a hiring company as well.
100%. Yeah. And like, even I think one of the partners in IT for one of your firms posts a lot on LinkedIn. If I want to work on your firm, I would for sure, especially in IT, I would definitely go to his content and write a comment, something about that, and get that communication going. And absolutely. I'm sure when I come in and approve, I'm like, I just applied to your firm. I'm sure
you can have maybe ask for like a name drop, and definitely they would appreciate to do that,
Yeah. And
on your cover letter.
And if a partner says, MJ, I spoke to this student, I think you'd be like, oh, okay, cool.
No, definitely. So obviously there are so many strategic, and it's like your creativity. You may think that you're not creative, but you are creative. Everybody's creative. Creativity has nothing to do with painting, has nothing to do, you know what I mean, with being a writer or whatnot. Creativity is problem solving. So you can use up your creativity in order to get access to a job. There are so many different ways to stand out. I mean, in the marketing world, we have our own issues into how we get into advertising agencies, and people are very colorful. But I feel that for jobs that are maybe a little bit more traditional, there are also original ways of, tackling and stand out and being different and, putting in your little flavor.
Yeah, I read, speaking of that, I read someone at a marketing firm sent a shoe to one of the owners.
Wow.
And he said, now I have my foot in the door. When can I have my meeting? And I was like,
I love this. It's like,
like as marketing, you're like, wow.
Wow.
Like, I have to meet you. I know nothing about you, but there's a shoe.
Now, Peter, we have to be careful because we don't want
every don't do that.
To do
We're
that.
just saying those are crazy ideas.
Crazy ideas. Don't say that Peter and Marjorie told you to do that. I'm going to do that. It's not my fault.
No, we're not saying that. But the time is running out on one of our meetings. So I just want to say, what are 3 takeaways that we can take right from this video? If they want to kind of condense it, what would you say, MJ? What are the 3 things?
I would say really dive within and, really work on your own values. That's really important, that you also shop for a business because it's a relationship, and you have to make sure that I understand you're a student, but you're not necessarily at the mercy of a job. It's a place that you're going to live in for a long time. So we spend more time at work than with our families and whatnot. So you want to make sure that you're in the place conducive to help you succeed in your career, your evolution, Another thing that I would say is to look at job hunting and looking for your first experience like a marketer. That means diversify your strategy in finding jobs. Okay. There are so many marketing tools that you can definitely use in order to stand out than just sticking with your comfort zone of just doing LinkedIn or just, there are many different ways of doing it, and I've named a couple. And also another thing that I want to drop in is to keep in touch with your teachers as well, because they're part of your first network. They're part of the first people that can actually endorse you as well. And they know companies, and they can even help you drop names here and there and connect you with, either, graduates from a couple years that can maybe help you out. So those are things that should never be disregarded. Treat your teacher like a business.
Awesome. So before we go, I just remembered you told me that you have a new project at work. Do you want to tell everyone about it?
Absolutely. It's a project that I'm super excited about. I was actually invited by one of my colleague at work. It's called Women in Tech. Awesome. For the Bleep company, for the huge major Big 4 company that you can check out on LinkedIn. But just to say that being part of Women in Tech means a lot to me, because it means inclusion, it means diversity, it means empowerment, it means also leading the way to other women in terms of technology and demystify that bias. Before, I never thought I was a woman in tech. I thought it was only made for women that studied in tech and that worked in tech. But in fact, that if you're an advocate and you're someone that's actually part of the movement in order to make sure that it's, verbalized in a way that people can understand, and seeing that it's human, that there are many different ways that you can be part of the technology industry. That's pretty much what we're doing. We're helping women how to negotiate salaries. We're helping women. We pair them also with mentors, from different, spheres and different sectors within the technology industry as well. Not only that, they get trainings, they get part of, panels and all kinds of goodies, just making sure that they're all well surrounded. Just to say that in terms of the market, when we talk about women in tech, it's about 5%. It's like very, very small. So we want to encourage more and more women to also study in STEM, to be part of that. Science, technology, engineering, and math. So being in a recruitment in that field definitely, allows me to become an advocate and a woman in tech. So I'm really, really happy. We're actually planning everything, and I'm part of the outreach. So it's just to find out that there's so many women that are working in AI and doing jobs that are so amazing in data mining, for example. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. Oh, so I'm really happy to be part of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of great women. Actually, I'll introduce you to some at National Bank and some.
Bring it on.
They're amazing people, and even at McGill for the Masters of Analytics, I think we're at 47% women in member. That's one of the real things that I was really proud about when I started joining the team. Is really something that we're very happy about.
It's all about demystifying and the biases in regards of technology, because a lot of people will say, oh no, I'm not very technical, I don't know nothing about computers, or this looks too complicated, applications, what I don't understand, cloud, that looks unfamiliar. But it's just to make that place more familiar and more normal, bring more accepting, inclusive, and whatnot, and interesting as well for these women to say that it's not a boys club, but it's actually a people's club. So we want them to be part of it, and I'm very, very proud of that.
Awesome. I can't wait to support that as well.
Awesome.
So, thank you so much for your time, MJ. It was a pleasure, and I know this is going to help out a lot of young professionals. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye. Thanks. Bye, everyone. Bye.